Ben Johnson just had his first press conference as head coach of the Chicago Bears, and oh my gosh, guys, that was incredible. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears news update video, which I'll be doing anytime the Chicago Bears news going on. And I want to give you guys a quick reaction video to Ben Johnson's press conference, which if you guys have not watched that yet, I would highly recommend watching that before you watch this video, because it gave me goosebumps watching that. And I know it's only a press conference, it's only words being spoken until we see wins, coming, until we see points being scored. We shouldn't be too hyped, but fuck it, guys. I'm going to be very excited over what I witnessed, what I heard in this press conference, because I have never heard a Chicago Bears coach talk with such eloquence, such poise, such detail in his opening press conference. I mean, Matt Nagy had a pretty good press conference, I will say. He said a lot of good things, but if you look at Eberflus, his press conference, I don't think was that good. He talked about, get your track shoes on because we're running. Like, it was kind of like a meatball type of press conference. John Fox did not really inspire much confidence. Mark Trestman could barely speak. He's not a really great public speaker. So I would say Nagy had an okay press conference, but like nothing even close to what Ben Johnson put out there to the media today. And I was just so impressed with his thoroughness of each answer. Like, each answer, he went into full detail. He really explained himself. He explained the process, his thinking, how he's going to turn the Chicago Bears around to being a contending team. And I just think he spoke with such confidence too, which matters a lot. Okay, I know it's only a press conference, but how you speak to your coaching staff, to your players, matters a great deal. Okay, if you're a great public speaker, if you can, convey your thoughts eloquently and accurately and with confidence, people are going to believe in you. Okay, it's a proven fact. The best speakers oftentimes are great leaders of men, and it seemed to me like in this press conference, Ben Johnson seemed like a pretty good leader of men, and he really has the ability to articulate his thoughts without seeming like he's rambling. Okay, he's only putting in the relevant details to answer the question he's been asked, and I think his background in computer science and mathematics really showed a great deal in this press conference, because if you guys didn't know, he actually had degrees in both mathematics and computer science from University of North Carolina. This is an extremely smart and detail-oriented person. He's a nerd in a very, very good way. He knows how to think outside the box, and you could see that in his play calling in Detroit the past couple seasons. I mean, sometimes it seemed like he was playing a different sport than everybody else in the football field with how unique his play calling was and how diverse his play calling was. So just so many good things from Ben Johnson in this press conference. I want to go over some quotes that I really liked from him and just talk about them a little bit. So he talked about the Bears and his perception of the Bears going into 2024 last season. He said that going into this season, I felt like this place was a sleeping giant. I was personally more concerned about the Bears than I was any other team in the division. He later talked about all the trouble that Eberflus's defenses gave the Detroit Lions in 2023. You guys remember both times against the Lions, the Lions kind of struggled against us. They beat us one time, but the second time we dominated their offense. So Ben Johnson really thinks the roster here is pretty damn good, and it's, able to win now. Like, you obviously have to add more pieces to it, but he thinks his roster was a sleeping giant entering last year, and he probably thinks due to bad coaching and bad scheming that was part of the reason why it didn't happen, and he's brought here to fix that and actually help the Chicago Bears become the giant that they should be given the roster talent. Another great quote he had was, "Get comfortable with being uncomfortable." He actually turned to the players in the front row, which included Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, and Cole Kmet, and said, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Okay, it's going to be a long process. It's going to be a lot of grueling days, a lot of grueling nights to get this thing turned around, and there's going to have to be a lot of accountability. Okay, Matt Eberflus did not really run a tight ship around Chicago. It seemed like, guys were doing whatever they wanted, but Ben Johnson, at least according to his words, is not going to let that run, okay? It's going to be a tough process. He's going to be hard on these players. He's going to coach them hard, but that's ultimately what's needed to become a great football team. You cannot have a soft coach if you want to be a physical, tough, and dominant football team. So I thought that was a really good quote. Another really good quote was when he was talking about the importance of the quarterback position. So he said, "It's clear that modern football in the NFL is quarterback driven. This offense will be calibrated with him, Caleb Williams, in mind." And he also talked about later that the big reason why he came to Chicago was because of Caleb Williams. He said having a quarterback helps. in regards to why he took this job. So clearly, Ben Johnson is a big believer in Caleb Williams. And the fact that he did say that modern football in the NFL is quarterback driven is a big freaking deal because it's common fucking sense. But a lot of Bears coaches have not been able to understand that fact. Matt Eberflus especially did not really understand that fact. He thought that by running the football, playing good defense, and limiting turnovers, you can win football games just by doing that, which in today's NFL oftentimes isn't the case. You need dominant quarterback play. You need to be able to throw the football down the field. You have to score, 25, 30 plus points a game sometimes to win some of these games. So, the fact that we have a offensive mind in here that actually understands how important it's going to be to get the quarterback calibrated with the offense, how important it's going to be for the play card to be on the same page with the offense, I think is a very, very big deal. Ben Johnson also confirmed that he will be calling plays here in Chicago himself. He was asked about that and he said, yes, I do, in regards to calling offensive plays. So I think giving a straight up answer like that was a big deal and not making it something where he was like, oh, we'll see, maybe. He gave a straight up answer like, yes, I do plan on calling the offensive plays here in Chicago. And that's a good thing because that's why we hired him in the first place. Obviously, he's a great leader too. It seems like a great speaker and hopefully he's going to be a good head football coach. But the fact that he can call offensive plays is one of the biggest reasons why we hired him, because we want a guy that can mold Caleb Williams into being a fantastic quarterback in this league and turn around the Chicago Bears offense from being one of the worst in football to hopefully being one of the best in football. Another quote I really love was when he was talking about accountability and how he would enforce accountability on this team, because obviously last year a lot of players were disgusted at the lack of accountability from the coaching staff. They thought the coaching staff allowed anything to go. So Ben Johnson said that repeat offenders will have to be made an example of when he talked about how he would maintain accountability. And I love a stern, strict answer like that. Okay, that's how it should be. Okay, if you're a Bears player that's not following the rules or not working as hard or hurting the team by not maintaining your focus, by goofing off, by celebrating, by waving at fans in the final seconds before the game is even over, looking at you, Tyreek Stevenson, you will be made an example of by this coaching staff, which is a very good thing. Okay, I believe a lot in players like Tyreek Stevenson, but he needs somebody to actually coach him up and hold him accountable. And so do other players on this football team. Okay, strong, good coaching, good leadership will enable these players to actually become their best versions of themselves and hopefully prevent them from making all these stupid boneheaded mistakes they've been making the past couple seasons in Chicago. It's not only Tyreek, obviously, it's other players too. Like, for example, Nate Davis. I mean, maybe we would not even have Nate Davis in the first place, with this coaching staff, with how it just seems like he never had any work ethic whatsoever. Same with the guy like Chase Claypool, right? So the best coaching staffs hold their players accountable. They coach them tough. They coach them hard. They don't let bullshit fly. I mean, you think Jim Harbaugh would let some of this bullshit fly? No, he wouldn't. You think Kyle Shanahan would let some of this bullshit fly? No, he wouldn't. I think that we finally have a coach in Ben Johnson that also will not let any BS fly. And then finally, one last quote I want to talk about is when he was talking about wanting to stay in the division. He actually wanted to stay in the NFC North because he knows this division pretty well. And he also said, I enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. Round of applause for that answer, okay? He already knows how to win himself over to the Chicago fan base, because giving answers like that, guys, is going to get any Bears fan hyped up and riled up. Okay, he had a lot of success against the Green Bay Packers, calling plays against the Packers over the past 3 seasons. They beat the Packers many times, and now the Chicago Bears even beat the Packers already, even before Ben Johnson came over. Okay, with Thomas Brown, we beat the Packers, and we should have beat them with Matt Eberflus too in the first game if a field goal did not get blocked at the last second. So it really seems like, guys, the tides are turning, okay? We finally have a coach that I feel like is on the same level as a Matt LaFleur, as a Kevin O'Connell, as a Dan Campbell, as a Kyle Shanahan, like some of the top coaches in the game. I feel like we have a coach, at least on paper, that can stack up against those coaches, at least offensively speaking, right? Like, we're going to be on the same page from an offensive scheme standpoint with all these other top offenses in football. So it's just such an exciting time to be a Bears fan. Like, again, I can't remember the last time a Bears press conference hyped me up this much to this level. And again, I know it's only a press conference, so until we see the football being played, we can't get too hyped, but it's really hard not to get too hyped with all the good things this guy is saying, you know, with how he's conducting himself. And you guys should go back and watch the full interview because there's many more quotes that I couldn't even, you know, talk about in this video because it'd be way too long. Just go back and watch the whole press conference itself to also get, you know, a feel for how Ben Johnson communicates, with how he talks to the public. But yeah, guys, just so damn excited. This offseason is going to be so much fun. We still have a lot of work to do. We have to hire the assistant coaches. We have to build this roster up via free agency, via the NFL draft to actually be a championship level roster. But I truly feel like, guys, with the addition of Ben Johnson, we are going to be a playoff team next season. I already believe in the talent of this roster even entering this year. I did not believe in Eberflus or the coaching staff, but now I do believe in the Chicago Bears coaching staff. Leave your comments down below, guys. As always, bear down.